Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to another Last of Us review discussion podcast. I'm your host, Richard Billy Jr., and tonight I'm joined by Mr. Adam Vale. How's it going, Adam?
It's going well, man. This is exciting. This was a solid episode, and we're in a home stretch. One more to go.
Indeed, we are. Yes, only one more episode to go. But before we get to that, we definitely going to talk about this week's episode. We're also joined by Mr. Carlos Romero. How's it going, Carlos?
Yo, what up, Rich? What up, everyone? Yeah, penultimate episode. Things are coming into a conclusion. So, penultimate episode. Can't wait to talk to it with you guys. And I can't wait to see what the people thought. A lot of positive reactions on Twitter. And we'll get into detail.
Absolutely. So tonight, as Carlos mentioned, we are going to be talking about The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 8, When We Are in Need. So before we get into some of the deviations in this episode, I just want to get everybody's initial impressions of this episode. So I believe that we went to you last week first, Carlos. So I think I'm going to go to Adam this week to start us off.
It was good. This is what we're hoping for. We're hoping for some action. We were hoping for some progression. The only thing that I was, two things I was disappointed is we didn't get a lot of clicker action. That's one of the things that took place during this scene in the game that helped build that connection of that semi-trust with David and Ellie. We didn't see that. It's like, all right, well, and then I was hoping to see a little, at least toward the end of it, is sprinkling off to see where we go from here because there's only one episode left. And we didn't get that. But besides that, it was great. Great storytelling. Man, it was almost word for word for what happened in the game. Just from that alone and how that's been the pattern for this entire season, I have a feeling the last episode's going to be no different. I don't see that really deviating in any way. Besides, again, with some of the clicker stuff, unless they decide to throw everything at us into this last episode, I have a feeling it's going to be very much like the game. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Sounds good. So I think I'm going to go next this time. I pretty much agree with a lot of what you said. I thought it was an excellent episode. I was disappointed that there wasn't a lot of clickers because, again, that, like you said, that was a moment where there was trust built between David and Ellie, but also because there was a lot of tension that made it even more intense when you have to worry about the clickers and then the actual human enemies as well. So that was a bit of a missed opportunity. It lets me know that, in my opinion, their biggest budget for this entire season went to episode 5 when we saw the clickers and the huge monster. Now, obviously, so they could still have some of those creatures in the last episode, but I kind of feel like episode 5 is most of their money went to that episode.
Then they're gonna say the whole budget went to get a real giraffe. They're like, oh, we see that giraffe. That's not CG. We got a real giraffe.
Well, I will say this also. I definitely have a concern about how much they're going to fit into this next episode. If this episode is under an hour or right at an hour, because I don't know. I mean, when this episode ended, like I thought, because they were moving at a pace in which when they were telling the story, I thought, after, Joel does reunite with Ellie, I thought we were going to get like another scene of them being somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that. So I was like, I mean, it made sense because, again, the baby girl line, that's definitely taken directly from the game, and they had to put that in there. But I don't know about what to expect next week in terms of the pacing and how long the episode is. So I'm very curious to see how they pull that off. But overall, this was a solid episode. So now I'm going to go to Mr. Carlos Romero because I am anxiously awaiting to hear what his opinion of this episode was.
Well, that's interesting. You asked that, Rich. I'd love to hear like a broken record because I do want to confirm my exact same sentiments that you guys did. Yeah, you guys brought up the key points. Is, you know, no infected, no clickers, no nothing this episode, which would have been fine if we would have gotten our fair share of them in the previous episodes, but feels like previous episodes have been lacking. So, you know, I don't want to talk too much from the episode because of that, but I will mention, and this is another thing that, you know, you guys mentioned as well, it's coming from someone that's played the game. We understand that trust and that the relationship between David and Ellie was formed because of those interactions. So it was kind of disappointing that we didn't get those. Doesn't mean that this was a bad episode by any stretch of the imagination. But you know, it did have some flaws. But overall, I feel like it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. The person that played David was really good. Ellie, what's her name? Bella Ramsey was incredible this episode. I feel like she stole the show this episode. So I did want to give her a shout out. And but yeah, overall, really good episode.
I agree. So excellent takeaways by both you and Adam, as always. So now that we've already started to go into the deviations conversation. So what were some other things that obviously were different about this episode when compared to the game? Do you want to start us off with that discussion, Carlos?
Yeah, you know, what I mentioned earlier when it came to actually taking down clickers in between Ellie and David when they met up, that was one of the things that we knew that they did throughout that storyline. Also, if I remember correctly, Joel, I don't remember did she leave him with a knife? I don't remember that part.
She left him with a knife to stay there because that's what he used even in the game to defend himself and stuff like that. But yeah, she left him with a weapon.
For some reason, I thought he had a gun, but no, maybe he did have a knife. I just didn't remember.
You get a gun when you start, you know, beating on the other dudes. You pick up whatever they drop. But
yeah. And that torture scene was definitely from the game.
Yes,
pretty much the same. So, and see, and all due respect, that is the type of Joel that I want to see, the violent killer. Because I criticized earlier when they had the show where they didn't show a lot of the brutality in which he did to certain people. Now you're seeing more and more of that with every episode. So that's good. That's a nice touch.
Did you guys? For me, it felt like it was like it ran really smooth. That's one good thing about this episode. I didn't feel like it dragged on in any particular scene. Even in the scenes where David and Ellie were talking in the beginning, it was really compelling. So, yeah, I felt like it was a well-paced episode. In terms of other deviations, I can't recall what else. I do got one, Rich, before you go. The beginning scene, the one with David talking to the community. We never got the community part in the game. I know that.
He also wasn't a preacher. He was just a leader of the group.
Mm-hmm. That's the one. He wasn't a preacher. And then the whole speech, and this is what I really liked about the episode. I didn't want to cut you off, Carlos, but this is one thing I did want to mention. I really like about this episode, to show you how crazy the guy was when he gave his explanation of him believing in the virus, and because when he gave Ellie that whole speech about, no, I believe in that virus because it just shows me that things can change for the better. That was very twisted way of thinking. So I'm glad they put that in there, because up until this point, it kept talking all this stuff about, yes, you know, praise God, all this other stuff. But I'm glad that they really brought you there as far as what his level of thinking was. So I thought that was a good touch.
Also, one of the cool things about it is by showing the other people and how submissive they were, and how, you know, how they were devout as those people were. it showed sort of the character of them, and it happens in real life. The manipulator, people who take advantage of people who, do these
cult leaders. We see it all the time.
Cult leaders and all this stuff. So
people, gangs and stuff like that. It always happens like that. You find people that are lost or scared, and they're looking for guidance or looking for someone to have a plan, and he had it. And that's all it takes, especially in that situation. Because I believe a lot of what he said was true. And he says, hey, we're moving because of raiders, and this is why we're here. It's not that we want to be here. It's just no one else is coming here because of the weather. We're so remote, that type of thing. And so I guess that's another reason why people follow him. They knew there was an issue. We heard one of the guys talk about, like, I think we should have another vote for leadership. It's like, I don't know about this dude. But,
yeah, so I didn't know, like, exactly how they were going to, use the people, because we didn't see them during the game, and it made a lot of sense, and it made sense why. Well, it did and it didn't, because for obvious reasons, but it kind of made sense of why he was attracted to Ellie, and just in terms of her character, not because of anything else that obviously is wrong and kind of crazy, but yeah, it did fit the story pretty well. I do have a question that I don't remember. Did Joel kill someone from David's community? Because I didn't, like, before they actually met up, because I don't actually remember that.
It was the group. It was those men when he got hurt. And remember, they were fighting at the university in the game. It's those guys, because that was the same thing that happened. It wasn't in the way like in the show where he got stabbed getting on the horse, that whole thing. No, it was when he fell. Remember when he fell out? But he did kill you both of the guys. Well, me and Joe, you just played the show, but yeah, he killed the men, because that did happen. Because then at the point in the game when you're talking to Dave, when Ellie's talking to David, and then he says, oh yeah, they came across this crazed man, and he was also traveling with a little girl, and he killed some of our people. And that was it. And she was like, what, freaking out. And that's the connection. So it did happen.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to make one comment about that. And you both can let me know if I'm wrong, because maybe they did highlight this in the episode. As far as Joel killing this other person, right? And it didn't feel to me like, it felt to me like David was the only one that really pointed it out. You did have the other people on his team. They were like, yeah, you should kill Ellie when he caught up to Ellie, and they were saying that you should kill her. But it didn't feel to me like if they had kids or a loved one that wasn't really sympathetic towards that. I thought we were going to get a scene of somebody asking, oh, what happened to my dad, or what happened, but we didn't get any of that. So it didn't feel to me as though, it felt like though the people that got killed were only important to David and everyone and all the other guys that were part of that group.
No, we did get one. Remember the girl?
Oh, we did.
The daughter. There was one girl that was crying, and she's like, when are we going to bury my dad? And he said, we can't.
Yeah, okay. See, all right,
said,
so
yeah,
I missed that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
He said we can't because the snow, it's too hard to dig. But then again, that was just for the show. That was not in the game. In the game, there was no mention to it. And I think the reason why the group was so, the men that were with David in the show were so uppity up of like, yeah, let's just kill her, is because they were cannibals. And they were hungry. And they're like, you know what? We don't have to stress and feel bad about eating one of our own if we just eat her. It's like we don't know her from a hole in the wall. And she just killed our people. We know this. Meanwhile, it was all self-defense because they were going after them. So, but whatever. That's where that whole thing came up.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, because I forgot about that scene. But no, go ahead, Carlos.
Oh no, I did like that scene. I did like, well, I didn't like how he just left the little girl. That was like, that took me by surprise. I'm like, well, damn. Whoa. But he's doing his whole I'm asserting my dominance into these people kind of thing. And it's crazy how everyone else is so submissive. But it makes sense to the story of why he's attracted to Ellie, because all the people in there are just followers. They're kind of scared of this guy.
Well, I also I don't know why I sort of felt like one of those young girls was his wife or one of his women or something because he kept saying, "I'm the father now. I'm your father."
Oh yeah, he's talking to the girl that lost the dad,
Yeah, but I think he's taking ownership. I
and
don't
he's
think
a
he was
preacher.
yeah, well, yeah, but a preacher. Then still, how would he explain bringing it? Say, oh, by the way, this young girl is going to be my wife now, and you're all going to accept it because that's what he wanted to bring Ellie in as. I bet he was like, oh, I'm going to keep you. I'm going to bring you in. It's going to be fine. We're going to work together. We're going to be together. So this can't be something that just spawned from looking at Ellie like, oh, damn, I need to do this. I'm feeling this is his character. This is who he is.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely can understand exactly what you're saying. So, yeah, I think they leave some stuff for interpretation, like they could be on that same level as far as what they were trying to do, but they do leave some things for you to interpret how it goes beyond what they're actually saying as well. So I can see that for sure. So
I don't think there were any other deviations besides that.
Oh, there was a big one. There was a big one.
Oh, what's that?
The jumping back and forth between Ellie and Joel. Remember that was the thing that happened in the game.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean that's just TV stuff. Like, yeah.
we didn't even get that, and that would have been interesting to see at least some of it because in the game, remember you're as Joel and he's trying to get to Ellie and it's snowy and he's moving around. And of course, there was clickers. We don't see that. And there was the bad dudes and he had to take those guys out. And then we jump back to Ellie and then you're hiding. And it was intense, all of it. Because you're like, are you going to make it? You're not going to make it. What's going to happen?
I definitely agree. The game, it was a lot more attention because of all the stuff you mentioned. And I thought maybe we would have gotten a little bit of some of that in the show, but I understand why they didn't take that approach. It worked still the way they did. The only thing I will say though is, I know that there is a community, obviously, that David is in charge of. When Joel showed up to that village and was looking for Ellie, I didn't see any other people. So it felt to me like the community was gone. That period of time.
That was another one. They explained that they put her in that holding in that other area, and they were hiding everyone else.
Okay.
So everybody was told to go hide because they weren't sure what was going to happen. And
they said this in the after show.
No, this is during the show, during the heaven. Because remember, they put her in a cell, and this is where they do their dirty work. This is where they kill the bodies because she saw the body part. And then later we see Joel when he's bumping around. He finds those little shed type things, and that's where he saw the bodies all skinned up and stuff.
Yep.
So the people in the main community, they don't see that. They're somewhere else.
Yeah, I was wondering where they was at. Yeah,
they're somewhere else. The only part that we ever saw people in, and that's shared with this, was that weird church diner setup. Because that's where they're meeting, and then that's when she sets it on fire, and the whole thing happens there. But everybody else they were taking cover because I guess they were already fearful that they were going to have some issues. Because remember, he said, "All right, tomorrow we're going to go after them," and he didn't know what to expect.
Yeah. Because he thought he was just going after Ellie, and obviously whoever Joel, the Joel guy is, but he didn't know what to expect. That makes sense. That makes sense for sure. No, I still think they handled everything well for the episode. It just obviously when you're playing the game, it just the way they had the whole situation. Like I remember like clockwork when you first meet David, and then you go into that room and you have the clickers coming in different angles with the windows. That was a very intense battle. So that's why I was hoping we would have got some more of that. But I understand why they didn't do it for the sake of the episode. But yeah. It would have been nice to see some more clickers for sure.
It's like they replaced all those scenes with just that additional dialogue with David talking to the group, doing that whole thing with the slap, or the other scene with when they're about to eat and one of the people in the community says, "What is that?" And the guy just looks like venison. and it does not look like venison, and he just slops it down. And they don't question it. Everyone just starts eating, and they start eating very loudly. And I wonder if that was intentional. You know what I mean? Like, it was very spoon to bottom of the bowl clanking. It was like clank, 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 clank.
Yeah, you could hear all of them, like really intentional.
Yeah, so it's either that it was just to emphasize that they are hungry and starving, or that they don't have enough to eat, so they're hitting the bottom of the bowl as soon as they start eating.
Well, they did emphasize.
Loud. It was so loud.
They did emphasize that they were running out of food, so that made sense. Okay. But here's a question for you both. You know, obviously, I want to ask you both now. Obviously, we all played the game. So if you didn't play the game, would you suspect that what they was eating was actually people? I mean, if you didn't know, if you didn't know already,
I would suspect it at any point. If I come across a group of people and I don't see a lot of cattle or anything around, and they have some meat, I was like, all right, well, where's this coming from? I mean, this isn't just materializing out of thin air.
You can't bury the body,
right?
We're getting our Lunchables on.
Exactly.
Something's fishy. Something's not right.
It's like, all right, so there was a body over there of Julie who died. Today I see she's missing a leg. Did he just detach? What's going on?
It's like Bob died last night. We were doing rations for weeks, but now Golden Corral's opened up apparently.
Right,
something's not right.
Yeah, now we got everything. Oh wow, is that a tattoo? Piece of a tattoo in my what is no, but
I felt like it was really clear that that's what they were doing. Not from the get-go, but that scene where all the people were eating, because the way that they shot it, they just made it seem like it's like everything about this is off.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I agree.
And I do find it funny that the dude, it's like the tension's all messed up and people are eating people and kind of suspecting it. And then the dude rolls up, David, he rolls up with a deer, and he's all happy because, like, all right, this is gonna shut up people. And then apparently
proof.
Yeah, and he's like, well, here's the deer. You know, we've been getting deers. But I do want to mention when he brought up the deer with a Kool-Aid man smile on his face, people were still kind of tensed, and apparently it was that whole Joel gossip where it's like, oh, there's a dude that killed one of ours and stuff. I didn't expect that. I don't know if you guys did.
Well, I think they were scared because they have been moving from raiders. They had issues with raiders. And this is the thing that I don't understand. And they don't bring it up here. It wasn't addressed here. And it wasn't addressed even in the game. If you're moving because of raiders and you're fearful for raiders, then why the hell did you attack Joel and a little girl? Yeah. If you're supposedly the good guys, then just when you see them, say, hey, put your hands up. Hey, we come in peace. We have a community, this and that. We were just scavenging for supplies here. Maybe we could work together. Do something like that. That's not how it played out in the game. And that's definitely not how it played out here. Because remember, when they were running, they were chasing after them. They didn't say, hey, we come in peace. Don't run from us. No, they were shooting and everything. Remember, what was the reason for that? But then they said that they're moving from raiders. They're constantly fearful when David was having that whole heart-to-heart with Ellie.
Well,
I'll go ahead, Rich.
I was just going to say they really, really did not like the fact that some of their guys got killed. So this is all about revenge. So they say, yeah, we can't go easy on them.
Yeah, and in terms of the whole raider, the hypocrisy part, I think once you're someone that is dealing with raiders and stuff like that, you eventually learn what you need to do in order to survive, and that's kind of doing what they're doing as well. Yeah. So it made sense why they would kind of do this as well.
Because then if that's the case, then they saw them, and it wasn't to add new members. It was like, oh wow, that's fresh meat. They were hunting them like they were cattle, like a deer.
Yeah, and what David said, he's like, yeah, it's me and a couple of other people that don't know about this. So it's probably, it's probably those people that were going to that university.
Uh-huh.
So and they weren't going to study.
No. I mean, no studying. Went for some wild monkey meat. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone eat monkey brain since Indiana Jones, but I'm sure that's a delicacy somewhere. But do you really want to have monkeys that have been experimented on at a university? It's like, what kind of experiments were they doing with them? What are they injected with?
No, it's too much.
Probably gonna get some virus. Right, a virus worse than the one that's the fungus stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I just want to make a quick comment. Obviously, I'm not going. We cannot talk about what happens next week, but I just want to say this: the people who saw this episode and question, like you made the comment, Adam, earlier about the group. Supposedly, they're being perceived as good guys, so to speak, in their minds. And obviously, we look at Joel and Ellie as the survivors, the good people, because they did what they needed to do to survive. I just want people to pay attention to this episode because this is going to be another topic that will have to be discussed with the finale, and then you will question to see, okay, are they really the good people here? So I just want people to keep that in mind because this topic is going to get revisited again next week.
And the actress who plays Ellie in the game, I forgot her name. She's still
Ashley
she has a role.
Yep.
And we haven't seen. Yeah, exactly. So that it's got to be an important role then because
it is
the last episode.
Wait, Rich, you said that with so much certainty. Do you know something we don't?
Well, it has to be. She said she was in one of them, and this is the last episode. So unless she lied.
Well, no. But so first and foremost, before I get to her, we need to give a shout out to Troy Baker because he played James in this episode.
Yeah. He was the one that got sliced with the cleaver.
Yeah, that was a very fatality. Finish him. I got to give a shout out to Ed Boon.
And for those who don't know, he was the one that did the voice of Joel in the game.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Not only just the voice, he did the motion capture and all that stuff.
Oh, he did. Yeah. And he's an actor. I don't know. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I just find it funny that like you said, he was a voice. He did the mocap, the voice work, and he is an actor. Like, why not just put him in the role? I don't. Oh well, I don't know.
Because they wanted someone else to that will be there for an extended period of time to be out throughout the entire show.
Because Troy Baker does not put butts on streams.
Well, the
story itself and the game, the people that played it, I think those are the large majority that are tuning in. They're fans of the game. So,
can I just make a quick comment and say, I find it hilarious. I like Pedro Pascal as an actor. I find it hilarious how he has another show on right now that's airing on Disney Plus, Mandalorian, and he is not allowed to take his mask off in this season here. So it's kind of funny, this to know that this actor's working on both of these shows. One show he has to have the mask on.
Wait. I thought the whole agreement was that he could take the mask off.
Well, that first episode make you think.
Well, I watched. I fell asleep halfway through. I found it kind of boring. But that's a whole other thing. But I saw where he was like, "Oh, I have to." It's like penance or this whole thing because he did take off his helmet, and they were like, "All right, you have to do this one ritual or something," and then I rage quit. But I guess he doesn't take his mask off, his helmet.
Right. Well, he might. We'll see. But to go back to what I was saying, Ashley Johnson actually plays Ellie's mom. They confirmed that a long time ago. So I guess there's going to be some flashback again to Ellie in this episode at some point. There's so many questions I have about that finale because I kind of feel like there's some other stuff we need to see. Granted, what happens is in the second game, but we'll see exactly what all they show. Because
the only thing, and it's not a spoiler, but I'm just wondering because I said before, I can't see them deviating too far now from how the story ends because they haven't done so in any episode. But I'm pretty sure when The Last of Us 1 came out, they didn't really have it planned out that they were going to do a sequel.
That's correct.
You know, so now that they know there's a sequel, they could definitely change a few things in the ending to tweak things up a bit to lead into like get ready for season 2.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. 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 And then we'll see how people react. But
I can't wait for season 2. Yeah.
Rich,
go ahead.
What I didn't know, Ashley Johnson, I didn't know this. I've seen her act when I was a kid.
Yeah.
She was in Growing Pains. She was the kid, the little girl from Growing Pains. I didn't know that.
Growing Pains.
Yeah.
It's the one where with the family.
Cameron? Is that the one with Cameron?
Yeah. Cameron? No, not James. James Cameron's the director.
I mean, the director. What's his name?
Yeah, Cameron. He was like a teen heartthrob.
Yeah, something Cameron.
DiCaprio was in that show. What's his name? The dude, the dad was the dad in the show was a dad of a.
He's on the singer. Thick. Yeah, Thick.
Yes.
Something Thick. Yeah. Oh, I barely remember. I always get that mixed up with Family Ties and Silver Spoon. Like those 3 family type shows, I get them mixed up. I know Michael J. Fox was on Family Ties, but Silver Spoon, I don't.
And Ashley Johnson was in that show for the last couple of seasons.
She was a young girl?
Yeah, she was a little girl.
Man, don't remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So can't wait to see what happens in the finale next week and see how they handle it. So stay tuned for that. But now let's get to what our scores are for this episode. And this is what I'm excited to hear about as well. So how about we go to you first, Carlos, unless you want to go last.
I can go first. I'm giving this episode a solid 8.00. It's not, it's not at the top tier. It's not at the bottom tier like last episode. It is a pretty good episode. So value of 8 for me.
Sounds good. Interesting. Okay, Mr. Adam Vale, what's your score for this episode?
It's the same. I wanted to give it a 9. Remember, I was like, the last 2 episodes have to be 9s and 10s. But it fell short because it's focusing so heavily on the drama. I missed the action. There was a lot of action. That's what made that game so special, that it had great storytelling and great action. It was fitting. It didn't feel like it was forced. It was like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense that something like this is happening here, and everything made sense in that. It's not like Walking Dead where it's like everything they're just talking in a horde out of nowhere. It's like you didn't hear them coming. I mean, they're loud as hell. Like, how did you not notice this? But it's all fitting, and we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that, and I'm hoping that they're just, because of the budget and stuff, they're saving the best for last. Then again, a lot of this is not CG. Remember, they said these are actors wearing these suits, so maybe the makeup's expensive. I don't know. But I'm expecting to see everything happen in this last episode, because I want to say that this episode is going to nail it. It's going to be a 9.5. It's going to be fantastic, because I had high hopes, and it's a drama. This is it. It's just a drama at this point, with an occasional creature that pops up here and there. But
That's a good explanation. Yeah, I agree. So, okay, well, let me start by saying Bella Ramsey was excellent in the episode, so I'll give her that. I would give this at least maybe 8.5. It's not the best episode. I still think episode 5 is the best episode so far this season. But yeah, I give it like an 8.5 only because Bella Ramsey added a little bit more to it with her performance. I thought it was good as is. So I definitely agree with the 8, but I just give it a little bit more because I think she really knocked it out of the park with this.
I think it was funny. One funny scene was when David put his hand on the bar and he was talking about, oh, we could work great together as a team. So he gave that whole speech. And then she looked at him and it's like you could see like her eyes like a light bulb. And then she went, oh. And then she put her hand on top of his hand. It's like, oh, I see where this is going. And then she broke his finger. But it's just funny. Like she's listening to him and then like you could just see it like he wants to make this sexual. He wants to, he's something else. Oh, he's a creeper. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And she was right. He was a creeper. So yeah. But overall, pretty good episode. Let's see what happens in the finale next week. So that concludes our discussion on episode 8 of The Last of Us season 1, When We Are in Need. So are there any shout outs that you would like to give before we wrap up the show? I'll go to you first, Adam.
Oh yeah, shout out to everybody that's been following and watching and listening, and that's always great. Just supporting the website, the Koalition, and of course the new channel that we have here from the spinoff from the main one, this Koalition Gaming. Thanks for Throwdown. That's the other show that Carlos and I are on. We cover games and all that stuff and game industry news. But I also have a question just for the people that have been watching this. How many? I just want to hear stories of people that have not played the game and are watching this for the first time, experiencing. How are they perceiving this show? Is it like just a monster type show? Is this a drama? Is this clicking with them? Are they interested, or have they exposed it to others that see it maybe as a horror show? I'm just curious because we, as much as we try to keep a clear mind, we already know the source material. It's no different than like if you read a book and then you watch a movie of it. It's hard to forget what you read. So you're always going to compare it. So I'm just curious with people that have not played the game, how they perceive the game, the show. What's their thoughts? So if you're one of those, or if you know people, just put it in the comments. I'm curious.
I'm curious as well. So yeah, please do leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the show. How about you, Carlos? Any shout outs that you want to give?
Just the same thing, Adam. Shout it out, Throwdown, the Koalition, everyone involved. Shout out to everyone. And yeah, I'm also intrigued by the people listening to see what they think. I feel like this show has been consistently good, but one thing that I will knock on it is I feel like it hasn't been consistently great. You know, like nine scoring episodes. So far for me, there's only been one. So and then like Rich mentioned, it was this episode 5, which was, that was my favorite episode of the season so far. So I hope, I'm hoping for a good finale. It's going to leave a lot of people intrigued for what could potentially come up in season 2. It's going to lead to a lot of people. And, one of the questions that Adam asked that I can add to, I wonder for the people that didn't play the game, if it's going to entice you to play the first or the second game. And that'll be interesting to see how many people jump into that thing. And
well, the answer for that is yes. If you've seen what Sony has talked about, like they've seen the sales for The Last of Us, that remake one, like skyrocket since the launch of this. So yeah, I'm sure these are all people not double dipping. They're like, shoot, I never played it.
And another thing that's been skyrocketing is ratings. They've been going up every single episode, and it's crazy to see, man. The contrast between the opening episode and the one from last week, it's a pretty significant jump. So shout out to HBO. They always do their thing, and it looks like they're being rewarded by people watching.
I'm telling you, I have a feeling this show is going to surpass the game. It's going to go on. We may not get a Last of Us 3 game, but we'll definitely get a Last of Us season 3.
Yeah.
And so I could definitely see that happening because it's a story. And maybe that's why they're not showing so many clickers and monsters, because they're like, you know what? We can make this work as a drama we could definitely do this as a drama and just
I hope they
sprinkle
don't
them
feel
in.
like that.
Well,
because we do need some of that tension.
Well, you bring up a very good point, Adam. I want to answer that question, but I can't answer it until after the finale next week because I definitely think you're going to see a lot more season 2. That's what I will say for now, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, as for my shout out to you both. Always enjoy having these discussions, reviewing these shows. For anybody that has been watching the shows and checking out the channel, we thank you for your continued support. Please do consider subscribing if you do like the content. Definitely feel free to leave comments and let us know your thoughts on the show as well. We hope that you have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all next week when the season finale airs. So stay tuned.
Peace.
Until then, peace.
Peace.